Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine, and in this video I'm going to choose 10 songs to celebrate Glenn Hughes' birthday. It's 2025 at the time we're doing this video. I've just had the privilege and honour to interview Glenn Hughes. The first time I saw him was on stage at the Birmingham Odeon in 1974, with Deep Purple being my first ever gig on the Burn tour. So the fact that all these years later I actually had a chance to talk to him has been absolutely amazing and one of the highlights of my career since starting Now Spinning Magazine. So it's fantastic, and it's recently been his birthday. So I quickly pulled together 10 songs that I felt represented him for how I feel at the moment. And it's not like a definitive countdown from 10 to 1. They're just 10 songs that I thought I'm going to pick songs off the shelf that I wanted to listen to celebrate Glenn Hughes' birthday. So here we go, and in no particular order. The first one is Black Country Communion, and I've picked Live Over Europe, and the track is Cold, which is the opening track on CD2 in this case. I've also got this on Blu-ray. It's brilliant. I feel that Cold is one of the best tracks from Black Country Communion. I know the studio version is also fantastic, but I think the live version really captures the kind of emotional pull and delivery that Glenn Hughes does so well. It's a fantastic song, and I highly recommend this album and DVD as well. So if you want to know where to start with Black Country Communion, this isn't a bad place to land, to be honest. There's some great tracks on here anyway, but I could have picked Save Me, couldn't I, as well? But Cold is the one that I played to celebrate Black Country Communion and Glenn Hughes' birthday. Next is from a compilation called Who Cares, which has got Tony Iommi and Ian Gillan on the front. And the reason why I chose this, but you can also get it on the reissued version of Tony Iommi's album he made with Glenn Hughes called Fused, is Slip Away. And whereas a lot of the kind of tracks on that album are kind of really kind of sludgy, stop-start, kind of really heavy, typical Iommi riffs of that period, this song is a really fast rock song, which I think really kind of shows that different side of Tony Iommi's playing, maybe going back to almost like Heaven and Hell, and allows Glenn Hughes to really tune in and lock in to that kind of riffage that he used to do in things like Seventh Star, and Danger Zone, for instance. I think it's an absolutely amazing song. It is on the new version of Fused, which I don't have, but it's also on this compilation as well. Dialing right back now to the more funk side of Mr. Hughes' career is the classic album from 1977, which is Play Me Out. And there are two. You can get, I think there's a 2 CD version. Is the one with Fall to the Floor on, and also I've got it on CD, which is on the original. I think it was Simon Robinson's label. But the track that I've chosen from this album is Your Love Is Like a Fire. And it's quite a long song, but I love the way it heads towards the end when we have all those ad-libs going around that kind of Rhodes piano and everything, and it kind of just goes into this really funky kind of way out of the song, and over the top of it, Glenn Hughes absolutely goes for it. As you know, he can kind of reach notes that many of your pets will notice, perhaps more than you, especially at this point in his career. But I think for Glenn, this is a kind of an album that it means a lot to him. And I remember at the time it had really top reviews in Sounds when everyone was saying, don't buy Last Concert Japan, you need to buy Play Me Out. It's so different to what Purple fans were expecting. But as the years have rolled by, the class and the voice is just amazing. But that's the song I picked, but I could have picked any of them. Solution is another superb one. I've got it covered. They all are. But I've gone for Your Love Is Like a Fire. Soulful Hughes. Next is from the Phenomena album, and I've gone for the opening track called Kiss of Fire. This came out right in the height of all the kind of AOR, hair metal-y type stuff going on. So the cover, the way it looked, everything about it, who was on it. A lot of rock fans, especially younger than me, were going, I'm not going to go near that. And it came with a nice booklet with all the rest of it. but some of Glenn Hughes's finest singing is on this album, and "Kiss of Fire" is an absolutely incredible track. I mean, who else is on here? Cozy Powell, Mel Galley, John Thomas, Neil Murray's on here. It's absolutely superb. There has to be some Deep Purple, and I've gone for Stormbringer, and the track is Holy Man. It's the most obvious one. He did this on a studio album a few years back as well. But Holy Man, because it's completely written by Hughes, he sings on it. It's not completely written by Hughes, I don't think. No, it's not. It's Coverdale, Hughes, Lord and Pace, but no, it's not even that, Phil. It's Coverdale, Hughes and Lord. But it's Glenn Hughes singing it completely on his own. And I think it's a marvellous song. Very kind of Bad Company-ish in some ways, but obviously Hughes is a very different singer to Paul Rodgers, very soulful. Well, Paul Rodgers is very soulful. Yeah, that's probably why I've got it. It's the phrasing. There's a different tonality in their voices, but the emotive way that both of those vocalists ad lib. And when I say ad lib, I don't mean they have like a obvious way that they're going to say a few things. Both vocalists, Rodgers and Hughes, go off at a tangent based on how they feel at that point in time. And I think that's what makes both of them excellent vocalists. I know this is all about Glenn Hughes and his birthday, but I think there's a soul, that this kind of approach to soul music comes out in the way that the phrasing of lyrics works. And Holy Man from Stormbringer is that one. The next one, I'm hesitating slightly because I could have picked a different version. It's from Come Taste the Band, and it's This Time Around. Now, the version I could have picked was actually from the John Lord tribute gig at the Royal Albert Hall, because the way Glenn Hughes sang this with the orchestra is probably definitive, actually. But I'm holding this one up. So I'm going to go from this one, from Come Taste the Band from 1975. But This Time Around is a showcase for Glenn Hughes at that point in time. But it still is an amazing piece of music. That originally, obviously, Lord's on this, and the fact it was chosen to celebrate John Lord's life at the Royal Albert Hall with Glenn singing that is incredible. And 3 left. The next one is from the album Feel, and it's Big Time. I could have picked Coffee and Vanilla, which is one of my wife's favourites, but I've gone for Big Time because I just think this Pat Thrall plays guitar on this, and I think it's such a great opening for this song. The production is brilliant, and it's most of Glenn Hughes' solo albums, of which there are so many to dig into. There, I think there's a 1 or 2 that aren't available to stream at the moment, but most of them are. And the opening track on every one of them is usually the killer track. And on this one, it's no exception. It's fantastic. I mean, Push is another great rock song as well. But this is really a funk soul album, and Big Time has got such emotive feel in his voice. It's brilliant. There are actually 3 to go. The next one is You Are the Music, We're Just the Band, Trapeze, and the track is Coast to Coast. Probably the first ballad or track that really showcased Glenn Hughes' vocals. There are so many versions of Coast to Coast he's done with Trapeze and on solo stuff as well, and it's one of the best songs he's ever laid vocals down on. It's an absolutely beautiful song. Trapeze is a band that's so close to Glenn Hughes' heart, and when I spoke to Glenn, he was saying, that David Holland, Mel Galley are no longer here. He's the only one that's still standing, and this is a great album anyway. But Coast to Coast, great track. 2 to go. Next one is some Hughes Thrall. Don't forget, Rock Canyon do a good version of this. I could have picked numerous things from this. First Step of Blood probably shows the gymnastics of Glenn Hughes more than anything. Or I could have gone for The Look in Your Eye, Beg, Borrow, Steal, which is almost like, again, soul funk, but AOR laced with brilliant pop dynamics as well. But I haven't. I've gone with Muscle and Blood, which is the one with a really kind of sludgy heavy metal riff from Pat Thrall, but it really showcases again Glenn Hughes' vocal delivery with that real typical snarl but soulful approach to the words. The last one I'm going to choose is actually from his brand new album called Chosen, and it is the track Chosen. I think I love everything about this new album. I don't have a copy yet, but I've been streaming it since I was given access to it prior to the interview with Glenn. And I think it's one of the best things he's ever done. He says it's going to be his last rock album, but it's not just pure rock. I think that the track Chosen shows a different side to him. I think lyrically it's fantastic, production-wise. His singing is, I don't know, I find it different and I find it very authentic. And I just absolutely love it. So Chosen from the album Chosen is my last choice. So let me know what 10 tracks or few tracks, or what do you think of the tracks that I've chosen to celebrate Glenn Hughes' birthday. Remember, music is the healer and the doctor. Please subscribe, ring that little bell. If you'd like a t-shirt or a mug, because obviously music sounds better when you're drinking out of a Now Spinning magazine mug, please go to the merch store. If you become a YouTube member or a patron, you get 15% off all purchases. You can also get invited to our WhatsApp groups and our Facebook group, and come along to our twice monthly virtual pub called the Now Spinning Arms. Take care, all of you. Keep spinning those discs, and I'll talk to you all very, very soon.